Ajma here, reading the news that there are potentially up to 150,000 Koreans in the U.S. That are vulnerable and potentially a target for deportation. And that includes adoptees. I would very much like off this timeline, but we're going to do what we can to be prepared and to be kind and to not panic. And no matter what, we shall be kind, and we shall try to do our best to do everything that is right with the universe. The arc of justice is very, very long.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Trending Pulse Worldwide. If you're new here, I bring you the latest trending stories and reactions from around the world. So if you love staying updated, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. And of course, don't forget to like this video, it really helps the channel grow. Now let's talk about what's going on. We've seen strict immigration policies impact Latino communities, but now it looks like Asian immigrants are the next group in the spotlight. With deportations, visa crackdowns, and increased scrutiny are leaving many people shocked, while others are saying we saw this coming. While some in the Asian community are just now realizing how serious these policies have become, and others are speaking out, wondering why is this happening now. But before we get deeper into this discussion, let's check out more of what people are saying.
21 Indians were deported in one single day at airports in Atlanta, Chicago, and San Francisco. They had all attempted to enter on their F1 student visas, and at the airport through customs, they went through their WhatsApp, their personal belongings, and I guess there's some type of issue going on with the school or the visa scrutiny, but the CBP officers canceled all their visas, put 5-year ban, and deported them all back to India, all at different airports and different times. What happened here? Why were they issued all student visas at the embassies, but then they came to the U.S. and at the airports they were canceled visas and deported back? It's important to know that these things happen. Just because you have a visa doesn't mean you're bulletproof. You still have to go through another layer of inspection at the airport, and CBP has a lot of power and they have a lot of leeway, and if they want to cancel your visa and send you back, they have the authority to do so.
So it's being reported that the Trump administration has deported African and Asian migrants to Panama. Now, this is the first of its kind under the Trump administration. Marco Rubio had gone around Latin America to make deals with the presidents of Panama, Guatemala, El Salvador, and other countries to accept migrants from other countries. Because when a person is being deported, it should be a conversation between the two governments, but a lot of Asian and African governments don't accept their deportees. So to fast track the process, Trump is just sending migrants to other countries. And on that flight, there were also citizens from Afghanistan, China, India, Iran, Uzbekistan. They were families with children. And on a flight that went out today, there were more Asian migrants, African deportees, including migrants from Cameroon. Trump is bypassing all norms, not respecting people's rights, and just sending people who have made their life in the U.S. to another country. This practice is inhumane, and this practice is going to happen more often after Marco Rubio made so many deals for Latin American countries to take in migrants.
So I had come across Ajma Dumpling's video in regard to her talking about how there were 150,000 Koreans in the U.S. who are subject to deportation under Trump's new immigration policy, and how a lot of these Koreans are actually Korean adoptees who could face deportation. Now, I wasn't quite sure where she was getting her source of information in regard to the number, so I went to investigate and research a little bit more on that. And there has been a long history of citizenship issues when it comes to Korean adoptees. Now, many Korean adoptees who were brought to the U.S. as children, often through international adoption agencies, were never fully granted automatic citizenship status because of the way the adoption and immigration laws were structured at that time, which this is going to turn into a shit show for a lot of Korean adoptees. The report that I read stated that there are 20,000 Korean adoptees who could face deportation because of the adoption issues, citizenship issues that happened long ago. So when I went to go investigate and research, this came up as one of the articles in regard to Ajima Dumpling's video, which tracks because they're saying that there is 150,000 Koreans in the U.S. I think that's a rough estimate. I don't actually think that's an actual number because the number of Korean nationals that are currently living in the U.S. without legal status is probably much higher than this. And it's quite difficult to track those numbers. So I'm guessing that this is a rough estimate. Now, I had to cut off part of this article because there is a picture down there that they screenshotted from X. And for TikTok guideline purposes, I cannot show it because it talks about CP. This was the second article that I had found in regard to Trump's new immigration policy, and this being the first Korean that was jailed under Trump's new policy. However, it was because he had CP on him. It wasn't really about papers. The White House didn't really state his legal status. It's just heavily implied because he was picked up by ICE. Now, since Trump has implemented his immigration policy, there's a lot of fear and a lot of people who are scared right now in the Korean communities around the country. Even Korean international students who are here for school and working part-time jobs. Now, Korean international students do hold legal visas, their student visas. However, those F1 student visas do have restrictions, which includes off-campus jobs. Those are a no-no with your F1 student visas. Now, there is a report that ICE raided a Korean restaurant in Virginia where they checked legal status verification of all the workers, all the employees in that restaurant, where they came across a Korean international student who held a student visa, and unfortunately, student visas restrict them from getting off-campus jobs, and consequently, the Korean student was arrested. Now, this is a disaster, not only for the Korean community, but also for Korean adoptees. This is a very scary time for all immigrant communities and for Korean adoptees right now, and we'll have to see how this plays out.
So let's talk about this because things are getting real serious out here. We've seen deportations happen before, but now it's hitting in ways a lot of people didn't expect. At first, people thought it was mainly about undocumented immigrants, right? But then reports started coming out about Asian students getting stopped at the airport and literally being sent right back. And these students had valid visas, yet they still weren't allowed in. And then we hear about people who have been leaving the US for years, working, paying taxes, now suddenly facing deportation. It's wild because when you look at history, crackdowns like this never just stop at one group. First, it was Latinos, and now Asians are getting caught up in it. And let's be real, it keeps going. Who's next? And I've seen some reactions online where people are like, y'all should have known this was coming. Others are genuinely shocked, saying, wait, this isn't just about illegal immigration anymore. This is bigger, and that's the scary part. But here's the thing, when policies like this start getting enforced, it's usually not random. There's always a bigger picture. Some people think this is just about immigration control, while others feel like it's targeting specific groups on purpose. And what's really concerning is how students are getting caught up in this. Like, imagine traveling across the world for your education, only to be turned away at the airport. That's not just unfair, it's humiliating and inhumane. Now, I know some people will say, well, rules are rules, but the problem is the rules keep changing. What was fine last year might not be fine today, and people who thought they were safe are realizing that nobody is really exempt. So, what do you all think about this? Is this just the government enforcing laws? And do you think this is only the beginning of a much bigger crackdown? Let's talk about it in the comments below because I really want to hear what you all think. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you want to stay updated on what's really happening out here. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.